Welcome to March Madness HMW style. This is HMW Sports Talk Live. I'm Craig Shelton, and today we are joined in studio by the Falcon, my man Fred Faour from ESPN 97.5 The Blitz, and of course Angelo Lawford from HMW. Got a lot to get to on today's show, and we will jump right into it right away. Fred, welcome to the show. We appreciate you, as always.
Hey, thanks for having me back, man. Always love being here.
Well, we appreciate you. And Angelo, welcome back to the show, man.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate it.
Good week of soccer out there?
Yeah. Today was brutal for me, though. Arsenal lost to Chelsea 6-0. I really don't want to talk about it.
Nothing like depressed soccer guy, right? Smack dab in the middle of March Madness. Ah, man. Look, March Madness got off with a bang, and we'll talk a little bit about it with the Falcon, Fred Faour, and get his takes on some things, but we'll definitely run through the rest of the schedule coming up today. Texas and Michigan are at it right now, and last I checked, Fred, Texas may want to at some point play perimeter defense.
Yeah, they're actually, though, this was as far as I thought they'd get. I got to give them credit just for getting to the tournament this year. With all the players that they lost, and last year everybody wanted Rick Barnes fired at the end of the season.
And he probably should have been.
Probably should have been, but you know what? He got a team that actually played team basketball this year and did well enough to get to the tournament. So I don't want to go to the let's give them a trophy like we do every Little League soccer team just for getting there. But that was a lot more than I expected out of this team.
Yeah, and Rick Barnes is not going to outcoach a whole lot of folks. So let's just be honest about that. You get into the tournament and you're Texas, unless you are talented beyond your competition, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of help from Rick Barnes as far as in-game decision-making, just the way he does things. I've never really had a lot of confidence in regard to what he does in games. You know, good recruiter. But we'll move on from that. But Texas and Michigan going at it right now, and I think Michigan was in pretty good control of that game last I checked. Later, we got North Dakota. Matter of fact, this game is probably in process now. North Dakota State and San Diego State. Dayton and Syracuse will get it on. Oregon versus Wisconsin. Harvard and Michigan State. I trust coaches. Therefore, when it comes to the tournament, Fred, Angelo, I trust coaching.
All right.
I trust Tom Izzo. You know what I'm saying? I trust coaching. Therefore, I think Harvard, good job getting to the second game, but goodbye. And then you got Connecticut versus Villanova. That'll be the late game tonight, getting started about 8:40 Central Time. Fred, any particular matchup with the rest of the schedule today as we're starting to get them locked in, folks, going into the Sweet 16. We'll talk a little bit about who's already in and highlight, we can't get everybody done in a segment with Fred. He's only here for the first segment, but we'll definitely highlight on a couple of things and look back at a couple of key performances. But anybody you kind of locking in for the rest of the day's schedule, Fred?
I'm intrigued by Wisconsin. I'm not quite sure what Wisconsin is. And to get a 2 seed in that region, and that region to me is a mess because I'm not a big Arizona guy. I could see anybody coming out of there.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see how they play. And I can't emphasize enough what you talked about with coaching because, give me Izzo in the tournament. Give me Billy Donovan in the tournament.
Yeah.
And give me Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino, right.
As long as he's not on a table in a restaurant with some chick. Those are the guys I want. I'm sorry, I'm never going to let that go. Yeah, well, hey, not there's anything wrong with that, but just make sure she's not crazy.
Restaurant tables and hot chicks, it is what it is.
Yeah, but I got to eat off that, man. Come on. But
so does Pitino.
that's what got him in trouble. Yeah. But and that's the thing. We also see guys who start emerging, like Shaka Smart has the last couple of years. Of course, they lost the other night to SFA, which might have been the finish of the tournament so far to get a three-pointer and a foul on a three-pointer.
4-point play.
To get a 4-point play and then win it in overtime. And congratulations to them. 29 wins in a row, by the way. That's pretty amazing.
Well, we got a little side note, and I'll let you jump back in. We got a little side note of there's some relevance, and I'm a big Shaka Smart guy. That's a guy that kind of got his fame here. Wasn't it in Houston, the Final Four we had here?
Yeah.
With VCU.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
First really, made that name for themselves under Shaka Smart. But there is some relevance with HMW in regard to Stephen F. Austin's victory over VCU, and we'll talk about that a little later. Go ahead, Fred. Continue.
No, but that's the main thing. And as the tournament goes on, the deeper you get, if you want to beat a team that's well coached, you got to get them early. Like we saw with Mercer beating Duke.
Right.
You knock them out early. The good coaches, the farther along they get in the tournament, they start scouting these teams better. They get their matchups together better. And that's why you see all these upsets early. And then it starts making a lot of sense when we get into next weekend. And that's one of the fun things about the tournament. To me, the first 2 days are the best.
Oh,
it gets
by far, yeah.
It goes almost in reverse.
Until you get to the Final Four. And then
yeah, but it's still cool, but it's still only 3 games at that point.
Yeah.
When you've got all these games where people take Thursday and Friday off, and you could sit there in the bar all day Thursday and watch 3 games at once or 4 games at once, and you get a chance to see how many.
But that's more about the overall culture.
It is.
Yeah. But in terms of on the court stuff, you still make a great point, because that unfamiliarity with teams that you'll run up on in the tournament, particularly early when you got higher seeds playing these lower seeds. But these lower seeds, well, one thing about college basketball, it's a little bit different now because, college ball is a sport to where you only need one NBA type kid or close to NBA potential type kid to have a program with some success. But you get these kids are kind of spread out now. They're playing for some of these smaller schools. Then there's that unfamiliarity that we talk about, and you run up against a team that's playing for the world. You know what I'm saying? They didn't come to win get to the Final Four or win a championship. They came to just win a game, and they give you their all. And I just think you make a great point in that regard. Let's move on, guys, a little bit here. We got a chance earlier, folks, to see the number 1 overall seed, Florida, win 61-45 over 9th seed Pitt. I think I got that. I think it was 61-51. I think I got the score wrong here. But Florida advances to the Sweet 16, and that's for the 4th consecutive year. Take that winning streak, Fred and Angelo, up to 28 wins in a row. And the key guy today, obviously on offense, was Scotty Wiebigins. Is it Wiebigins? Wiebigins scored 21 points. And Patrick Young didn't do a lot on offense, under 10 points, but 8 rebounds and just played all around good game. But what we saw from Florida, to me, is a little bit of the same thing that we saw in the game. The last game I had a chance to actually put my eyes on, which was the Louisville-St. Louis game, where good teams with better talent than their opponents, but didn't really use the offensive end of the floor to take control of games. They took control of games on the defensive end.
Well, and that's what Florida's done all year. Yeah. If you kind of go back over their SEC schedule, and same thing with Louisville last year in their run to the title, they get these stretches where they play smothering defense and they get offense off of that. And Louisville's got so many just fast players that they can cut off the passing lanes. And that's one reason why, I'm like most of the planet, I have Florida and Louisville playing for the whole thing, because I like those 2 coaches, and I think
I have no imagination either.
Well, defensively, they're so good, and what I expect to see as the tournament goes on, those guys will make the adjustments that we talked about earlier. And neither one of those teams strikes me as somebody who is going to have somebody put 30 points up on you to beat you, but they don't really need to. Yeah, they're gonna come after you in waves.
Find me the guy on Florida's roster that's going to be a lottery pick. There's going to be a guy that's really coveted in the draft, and you're just not going to get that guy. One thing that we're seeing pretty consistently is we're seeing these teams with seniors, and seniors that can play. You look at what Mercer was able to do against Duke and defeating Duke in that upset game. But Mercer's got 7 seniors on that roster, and they play and they compete. And you get those guys up against a young Duke team. And let's be kind of frank here about Duke in another form here. Duke is not really a tough basketball team. They don't play tough with this current assembled group of talent, and whether it be youth or just the mental makeup of the type of athletes that, because every year these top schools go after the top kids. And some years the top kids are more finesse kids. Sometimes they may be more physical kids. I don't find Duke to be the most physical, imposing basketball team. So if you're going to run up against these teams that are full of seniors and junior talent, a lot of guys that probably won't play in the league or won't be the first guys taken to play in the league, those guys are going to be tough. They're going to really compete hard. And if you're not ready for that, Fred, Angelo, you got problems.
Well, you go back to that Mercer game. That's a perfect example. Yeah. It's a senior-laden team that just isn't nearly as talented. Now, as far as toughness goes, Duke has never really been physically tough. Their good teams have had somebody
Christian
mentally
Laettner
tough.
is angry with you.
Yeah, well, you know what? He can say it to my face. I'm not too worried about Christian Laettner. But Jabari Parker is the most physical player he was the most physical player on the court, the best athlete on the court, didn't play very well. And frankly, if Duke wasn't raining in threes, then they'd have been out of that game a long time ago. And you see that a lot of times with teams like that. I'm really interested to see what Kentucky does with Wichita. I mean, here's another team just full of freshmen. It's a typical Calipari thing to do, but they're all extremely talented. There's NBA guys all over that roster, but they're taking on a team that made the Final Four last year as a one seed, hadn't lost all year. Those are the kind of matchups where usually the veteran team gets the best of these young guys, and I think that's what we saw with Duke.
So Florida advances to the round of 16. They get to play 4th seeded UCLA or 12th seeded Stephen F. Austin on Thursday in Memphis. Let's see, UCLA and Stephen F. Austin play tomorrow in San Diego. I really want to get to this Stephen F. Austin thing. But another little note here, Money Brown, the situation with Money Brown, the kid from Tennessee who was injured late in the first half of the 78-71 upset over Duke Friday. This kid, according to Coach Hoffman, hasn't been completely, this is a quote, hasn't been completely ruled out, but doesn't look good. And to explain what he's talking about, Brown spent the night resting in a hotel, today, in fact, in a dog room, and doesn't remember anything about the game Friday after that. And this was taken into effect after breakfast this morning. This is the state that he was in. So definitely, you hate to see a kid, go through anything like that. But when you think about Jarnell Stokes and the Maymon kid with Duke, with Tennessee, and how not necessarily tall as they are, wide and physical with Tennessee. I just think if Tennessee is able to get better and more consistent guard play, you could see Tennessee, maybe get beyond the Sweet 16. I don't know, but it's a team that's pretty physical inside with those two guys, and those guys play well off of each other.
They do, and I wish they had one really good guard on that team, because if they did,
guy,
then I would feel a lot better about their chances to move forward.
Joel Embiid, of course, the big center for Kansas, will not play against Eastern Kentucky. He was knocked out of the Eastern Kentucky game Friday. He's out of that game. Let me see. Embiid won't play Sunday against Stanford, according to Bill Self. 11 points and 8 rebounds on the bench. I don't think, and now they're saying with Embiid that even if they were to make it to the Sweet 16, unlike many people are saying, he's definitely going to be able to play then. Bill Self is saying that's not even a lock. That, if he was able to get cleared, it's not necessarily they're going to have this kid out there on the court.
Yeah, I was concerned when I heard about that injury, because the way they made it sound, he'd be back, and if you were filling out your bracket, you had to wonder if he was going to be able to play. And look, Andrew Wiggins has to step up. I mean, he's played better over the last month. The kid that everybody's consensus number one. Yeah. And we've seen that in the NBA this year. When Russell Westbrook goes out, Kevin Durant goes nuts. Yeah. We saw it with Blake Griffin when Chris Paul was out. Well, that's what Andrew Wiggins needs to do if Kansas is going to get there. He's got to take over this next couple games and win them for Kansas. Be the guy that they recruited him to be.
I've been a freak out guy when it comes to Kansas. I it was one of those deals where I wouldn't call it, but I did not definitely 100% say that Kansas was going to beat Eastern Kentucky Friday night. It wasn't like a just given for me. You know what I mean? I just think they're so inconsistent. You talk about with Wiggins. You might get 40 from Wiggins, and then you may not get 40 from Wiggins. And then when you got a guy like Embiid not a part of the scenario, I don't know. I just freak out a little bit when it comes to those guys. Now on to Stephen F. Austin, man. Obviously, it's been much talked about Stephen F. Austin. Getting a big upset, taking care of business over Shaka Smart's VCU team. Unbelievable, completely freaky 4-point play by Desmond Heyman to get it done, and then get it in overtime, and then take care of business in overtime. But there's a 5'9" guard, number 10, Trey Pickney from Katy, Texas. He is the cousin of our own HMW's Jermaine Every, and that's at @the_Jermaine on Twitter. So if you want to give Jermaine a holler and let him know that you up on his little cousin, that's number 10, Trey Pickney. We'll definitely be focusing in on Trey Pickney and just wishing those kids from East Texas much luck. Right? I mean, we want Texas, Stephen F. Austin, and then, and these are all regional or local relevance. And then there was Texas Southern with the play-in game, to where, listen, when you get it handed to you by the team coming into the tournament with a losing record and the worst record in the tournament, okay, kind of is what it is. But the Murray kid putting up big numbers, plus 38 points or whatever it was. And then you look at the fact that that team was on probation last year. Mike Davis comes in there, gets some things done. Now they make it to the tournament this week. Just got to give some props over to the folks over at Texas Southern University and that basketball program. There's not a whole lot of opportunities that we in the local sports media find opportunities relevant to give any love to Texas Southern University. And I'm not one of those people that believe because I have black skin, I owe Texas Southern any love. I think I owe Texas Southern respect that they earn, because we're talking sports. And if you earn it, you get it. And if there's a good story over there like this one is, you got to give them some love. You know, so much love to Texas Southern for at least making it to the tournament, starting off in the game with a few thunderous dunks, and then everything just kind of went to hell from there. Get it together, Texas Southern. Maybe next year, Richard Walker won't be in the studio laughing when I talk about you. All right? So, all right, man. We're going to run to a break. We'll be right back. HMW Sports Talk Live.